What do I have to say for the intro?
Welcome back to episode 2 of season Mystery Society.
But so nothing.
We're back in
specific,
Taylor's
really.
living room.
Why are we all gathered here?
Hey, welcome back to our house that we're never able to
We're
leave.
in jail.
This is where we live.
Everyone
Welcome
show your
back
ankle bracelets.
to Purgatory for
It's
episode
lovely.
2 of season 3 of El Misterio Society.
No,
I
El
don't like
Society.
that. I don't
No,
like
El
that.
Society del Misterio.
There you go. That's it.
I don't know if either of
I
those
can't speak
words.
Spanish.
Today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite mystery, Elisa Lam. Have you guys heard of this case already?
Yes.
Elisa Lam.
I've heard of Eliza.
I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Elisa Lam was a Canadian student studying at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And she was taking a vacation around the West Coast, around parts of California.
How many places have you just said in the last 3 seconds?
Well, the first 3 were all Canada, right? And then the second one was California.
Okay, I
Okay.
got up.
All right, so she was in Canada. I'll break it down. And then now she's in the United States. So she's in California. She's going on a trip. She liked to travel alone. The plan is to go to San Diego and then go to Santa Cruz. In the days before she left Canada to go to California, her parents were really worried. So she made a promise that she would check in with them every single day and give them a phone call and let them know that she's okay. On January 26th, 2013, she arrived in LA by Amtrak, and she had planned on staying until the 31st in LA before going to Santa Cruz. She checked into the Cecil Hotel, which is in downtown LA's Skid Row. So she gets to the hotel, and they put her in a shared room on the hotel's 5th floor. So she has roommates.
It's almost
So it's
more
like
like
a
a
hostel.
hostel. Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. I guess they must have specific rooms that are shared and specific rooms that are like...
Well,
Alone
hostels do
room.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've never been
I've been in a
hostel.
hostel it was just like a 1 or 2 bedroom that you could versus they also had like 8 people to
Shared
16 people
dorms.
room.
Okay.
Dorms, yeah.
So yeah, it operated kind of like a hostel.
Yeah.
Then. Her roommates start to complain about certain odd behavior, is what they said. And so the front desk moved Eliza to her own room. I want to talk real quick about the Cecil Hotel because it's important to know where she's staying.
Yep.
The Cecil Hotel has a pretty frightening reputation and a really eerie atmosphere about it. This hotel does have a very, very long history
Okay.
of some of the more notable murderers in LA being tied to this hotel. So, for example, this is just a couple that I found that I thought were really good. In 1964, Goldie Osgood, she was named the Pigeon Lady of Pershing Square, was raped and murdered in her room at the Cecil, which is a crime that's never been solved. Serial killers Jack Unterweger and Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker,
Oh yeah.
both resided in the Cecil while they were active. The victim of the Black Dahlia murder was seen drinking at the hotel bar a few days before she was killed.
Really?
Yeah. And
Oh my
then,
God.
here's the main thing. There's been a lot of suicides. And the suicides are people jumping from the windows, one of which also killed a pedestrian who was walking in front of the hotel. Someone landed on him and killed him.
That's
So-
super
That's awful.
dark.
I start hearing all this. I start looking up more stuff about this hotel. There was a journalist who was going along pretty much the same line of thinking I was, where I was like, I want to know what environment Elisa Lam was while she was living there. He goes and stays in the hotel for a few days. Some of the stuff he wrote about the windows where they're all basically locked and nailed shut, and they
Yeah.
break all the locks off and stuff so that you
So
can't jump out,
kill yourself.
because so many people have.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is what he wrote. These are quotes from him. He said, "The Cecil will reveal to you whatever it is you're a fugitive from. Bolts and latches on the door will not only keep everyone else out, but trap you within, where there are no locks at all on the windows, beyond which the Siren City beckons."
Who
That
said
is
that?
The
haunting.
journalist who stayed in there for a few nights.
When?
When did he stay in there?
Yeah. I'm just kind of wondering, like,
Well, hold on. Let me find the article. If you want to look this up, though, it's his name's Steven Erickson. It's if you type in Steven Erickson Cecil Hotel, it's a really good write-up.
that's the journalist.
Yeah.
Stephen Erickson. Okay.
Steven
Okay,
Erickson.
cool.
He wrote it in 2013. He said that when he was in the elevator that Elisa Lam, the elevator that she was seen in, he was in the elevator, and while he was in there, a woman stepped in, and he didn't speak to anybody the entire time except for this woman, and while they were riding the elevator up, she turned to him and said it had to have been somebody who worked here, right? And then she got off the elevator. So that was like, I'm telling you, dude, it's a killer write-up.
I have goosebumps.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I don't like that at all.
As a reminder, when did Elisa Lam stay in this hotel?
She was staying in the hotel January of 2013. So this would have been 4 or 5 months after. So anyway, go read the write-up. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Oh my God.
But that's just a little background about the Cecil Hotel, because it's very important to understand the atmosphere that she was in.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying
Very scary.
atmosphere.
That is awful.
So she's staying in the hotel for 5 days from the 26th to the 31st of January.
Okay.
2 days in, she got kicked out.
She got moved to her own room 2 days in.
Kicked into a different room.
The 28th, they put her in her own room.
Okay.
On the day that she is supposed to check out, the 31st, her parents don't hear from her, and she is supposed to be checking in every day, right? So her mother immediately contacts the LAPD and flies out to Los Angeles to help with the search that they're conducting. And the LAPD starts searching, and they start interviewing people. All of the hotel staff that were interviewed say that she was alone when they saw her. If they saw her, a lot of them just didn't see her at all. The manager of a nearby bookstore, which by the way is called The Last Bookstore, the manager of the bookstore spoke to Eliza and described her as outgoing, lively, and friendly, and said that she was basically purchasing some books to bring back to her family. And she talked a lot about this. So it wasn't like, I'm just mentioning this to dispel any idea that whatever ended up happening to her, that she may have done something to herself intentionally, because she was actively making plans to other people of, I'm going to take these books back to my family in Canada. Police searched the hotel to the extent that they were legally able to, but they weren't able to search most of the rooms, or actually most of the parts of the hotel at all, because they didn't have probable cause at the time. A little background on Elisa Lam. At some point, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, according to her family.
Okay.
Her family, I don't want to just come out and say like they wanted to keep her mental illness a secret, but they weren't very forthcoming with people about it. So it's possible that she was diagnosed with more than just bipolar, but her family didn't want to mention it. The reason I say that is because I have a list of her medications here with breakdowns from somebody who did a complete, basically, breakdown of the medications that she was prescribed. She was prescribed dextroamphetamine, which is essentially like Adderall. It's a stimulant prescribed for ADD and ADHD as well as narcolepsy. She was taking an anticonvulsant and mood stabilizer, which is prescribed generally for epilepsy and bipolar disorder. She was taking something called Seroquel, which is an atypical antipsychotic prescribed for schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and major depressive disorder. She was also on Effexor, which is a SNRI antidepressant prescribed for major depressive, generalized anxiety, panic disorder, and social phobia. And then finally, she was on Wellbutrin, which is an antidepressant.
That.
And by the way, these are just the Adderall she's on 20 milligrams a day. She's on 100 milligrams of the anticonvulsant, 25 of the Seroquel, 225 of another antidepressant, and then 300 milligrams of a third antidepressant.
Holy crap.
That seems, as someone who is medicated for anxiety, honestly, that seems fucking excessive. That is so extreme. I mean, I understand struggling with bipolar and anxiety and depression and whatever, mental illnesses that she had, but I mean, why all of them? Why is she taking such a massive cocktail of drugs? I mean, I feel like that just add to a potential mental break at some point? That's extreme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very important to think about. So I just want to put you guys in the perspective of, she's in the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah.
She's on all of this medication.
Yeah.
If she's not on the medication,
if she stopped taking it,
obviously something's gonna go wrong if that were the case.
And if she
that's
stopped
a lot of
taking
medication.
The withdrawal and the come down from things like that specifically is going to be extreme. It's going to be like detoxing from an actual hard drug.
According to her family, she had no history of suicidal ideation or attempts, though there was one report
Why was she on
She's
so many
taking a bunch of
antidepressants then?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
But
That's
also, a lot of
bullshit.
antidepressants can cause suicidal thoughts or feelings
Yeah.
in a lot of
Either
people.
way,
One thing
either
I
she
do-
wasn't getting treated for it and she would have suicidal thoughts, or she's getting treated for it and has
And it
suicidal
gave her
thoughts.
suicidal
So like,
thoughts.
Again, this
Well,
is reports from
her family,
Yeah,
of course.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So she, I mean, you know, she could have looked her mom in the face and said, "I want to fucking kill myself." And
There
her
could be
mom might
footage of
like,
her
"Well,
shooting herself,
Yeah,
and they'd be like,
Right.
she's never had suicidal thoughts.
exactly.
Well, that
I
could be
mean,
a total lie.
there's
If
parents
people
like
want to
that.
ignore it, then they'll ignore it. Yeah.
Not to call her family out. I'm just saying that is a possibility.
Right.
Now, back at the hotel, right? She's still missing. Searches are coming up with nothing. Police can't even really search that many rooms. People at the hotel begin complaining about low water pressure. Some others were claiming that their water coming out of the faucet was black and had an unusual taste.
I'm sorry. Why?
Wait,
That was
wait,
my-
wait,
Fuck,
wait,
are you
wait, 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 wait,
drinking
wait.
the black water
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah,
faucet?
yeah.
Don't drink the black
That's not
water.
right. Well, let's
Give
see.
it a taste.
That's the same thing I thought. The first thing I thought was like, hold on. So I'm
Don't drink.
I have to believe that the people who had black water were not the same people who had unusual tasting water. I have to believe
So
that.
some people had black water and some people just had yucky water.
I have to believe that. Yeah. I have to. There's no way it's black water
I
and
don't.
someone's like,
I
"Well,
don't.
it's
take
I
it."
at
don't.
least
I
it's not
fully
black
believe
water.
that people were putting on their faucet. It came out black, and they were like, you know what? Let's give it a shot.
I do want to at this point just mention the two things that the LAPD did during this time. So right, the 31st, the search starts. Nothing's found. On the 6th, they take pictures of Elisa Lam and they start putting it out in local neighborhoods, hoping somebody will be like, "Oh, I've seen that face. I know where she is."
Okay.
My source says that on February 15th is when they released the video that everybody's seen, which we'll take a look at.
Yeah.
But that tape was taken on February 1st.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense as to why she would stay an extra day. Where was she that night? If she was supposed to check out on the 31st, she wouldn't have had a room to stay in that night and still be in the
because
hotel
you
on
have
the
to
first.
check out at like 11. From almost
doesn't
every,
make
even like a
sense.
late checkout from most places, you get until like noon or maybe 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, and so that's the interesting thing is if the tape was taken on the 1st, which here, I'll pull up the tape and we can take a look at it real quick. No, yeah, I'm pretty sure that says 2/1 right there. Yeah, 2/1 2013. Well, it says ?1 2013, but I mean, oh, it's midnight on the 1st that this happens.
So
So it's basically the 31st. You know what I mean? It's the night of the 31st.
Oh, okay. No. That still doesn't make sense
Right.
because she wasn't staying until the 1st, she was staying until the 31st. So that
Yeah,
would have been
she should have been
12
out.
hours after she was supposed to, at least 12 hours
Yeah.
after
Well, do you
she was
know-
supposed to check out.
Well, let's check out the video. when
Yeah,
you got-
please,
when
let's
you got
watch it.
up. Yeah, so she does this. She's like, it looks like she's hiding and stuff and like looking for someone.
But this just reminds me of the weird, erratic behavior of Lars Matank, too.
Yeah. You can see she's these weird steps and kind of jumping around. It gets a lot weirder. The other weird thing is how long this elevator stays open. And there's a
Yeah.
few times you can actually see it starts to close and then stops. I think it probably already happened, but we'll replay the video, I'm sure. But see, she's not. It's not like she's blocking it right now. And if she went in and pressed all the buttons, wouldn't it be moving? The other thing is the way that she's walking
She
seems
does
like.
press so many buttons. Look at her. She's pressing like all of them.
Yeah, now she really is. Wow. If you
And
look
like we've
at,
all been in elevators. They close pretty quickly.
yeah, and it looks like she's either maybe on the wrong floor and freaking out, or having a legitimate episode, especially here.
Yeah, what is that? What is that move? What is that? It looks like she's talking to someone.
Yeah, some people have said that it looks like she's talking to somebody. I disagree. To me, this whole thing looks like a mental episode because of the entire body moving. It looks like she's convulsing in some way, as if she's having some kind of a physiological episode.
And like, why does it stay open this whole time? There's no one in it. She's not close. She's not holding the doors open.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally no one and nothing there. The door should have shut and it should have moved on already. That's super creepy, actually.
And then it closes.
Just skipped 3 seconds.
No, it didn't.
It did.
Did it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it skips around. There's a lot of...
Yeah, it goes from...
Yeah,
it goes from 10 seconds to 14
Oh, what the
right
fuck?
Here.
Yeah.
3,
7,
10, 14.
Yeah.
15.
Oh, but,
It
know,
does
there was
skip
also,
around.
like, no one there. It was the same shot for that whole time.
So, here, yeah, run this shit back. And let's check it out. So she comes into the elevator, and you'll see the door almost close if you watch the door right here. Somewhere in the... You're right there.
Yep.
Boom. And then it comes back. She goes, what the fuck? And so I think
It's
now...
like someone's standing in front of it.
Yeah, I think now she's going, what's going on? Was there someone out here? Okay, maybe I'm blocking it. Let me try going over here. That's about as much as I can explain. So now maybe, she's looking for something that's blocking it or someone who's out here. And I think that she's partially nervous.
It almost
See,
looks like...
that's the thing is here...
Like when you're looking out and then like you jump out and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, like I'm gonna catch you, you're there, and you're not gonna expect me coming out. Like,
But then now she's doing this line dance thing.
yeah, the weird square
Right.
stepping.
And then now she's going to start gesticulating a lot with her body, which could be maybe she's worried about being stuck on this floor. I know that one time I went to a hotel and I hit a button on accident and I ended up in the fucking laundry room, which was pitch black.
That
Almost
is
shat my pants.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So I understand being in that situation, but then this behavior doesn't make sense.
I mean, if the door's not shutting and she's just trying to do anything to trigger the door shutting,
Yeah.
I can almost understand pressing all the buttons. But why leave the elevator again?
Yeah.
Like, you just pressed all the buttons.
And then what's this?
That looks like she's talking to someone.
It looks-
doing like, oh, this weird thing, like, what is going
Yeah.
on? But then
But
she
it's
just
such
keeps
a
getting
weird way to
weirder.
speak.
Like that, what is that?
And then
What is
the
that?
body movements, it just seems so convulsive. It doesn't seem like
It seems,
when you speak
the
to a
longer it goes,
stranger-
it looks more involuntary.
Yeah, exactly. And then she leaves, and the door finally closes. So some of the questions that get raised from this are, of course, what kind of mindset was she in before she went missing?
Right.
Why the fuck is she even here?
You just skipped a whole minute of it not doing it. It goes 24, 1, 2,
25.
3, 25. There's a whole minute of it just sitting open there and she's been gone. Like, why is the elevator doing that?
And then why does it suddenly just like very quickly close, open, close, open, close, open?
There's definitely
Like
3 or 4.
there was nothing wrong with it to begin.
But there's definitely 3 or 4 buttons on. Yeah, it's just starting to go through the cycle that she left it in.
fucking.
So that's probably is a different floor. It took about 10 seconds to get to the next
Yeah.
floor and then opened up again. 5
Yeah.
seconds closed, goes to the next floor. So why in the world was it staying open and not going anywhere for her the
on
whole
her floor
time?
with her there.
The whole time.
And this is why it's
That's a new floor.
important to understand the environment, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know about the Cecil Hotel, you would say it's a weird malfunction.
Yeah.
But it is the Cecil Hotel.
Bring me back to what that woman said in the hotel to the interviewer.
Yeah.
Or the reporter.
Do you think
Yeah.
it was someone that worked here or whatever?
It has to be somebody who worked here, right?
Well,
Who else could be maybe controlling the elevator?
yeah.
Yeah.
By my sources, that was added to the public by on February 15th. They're basically saying, like, we hope somebody can find some clues using this video and tell us what happened. Yep. Now, people are complaining about low water pressure, black water, bad tasting water. Yep. On February 19th, a maintenance worker named Santiago Lopez was dispatched to the Cecil Hotel to fix the water tank and see what the water issue was. He opens up the water tank on top of the hotel and he finds Elisa Lam's dead body floating inside with no clothes on.
I hate I hate that. I hate this part of the story.
The Los Angeles Fire Department shows up and they had to cut open the side of the tank, drain all of the water out of it in order to remove her body. The autopsy came back worryingly soon after, ruling the death as accidental and confirming that Eliza had ingested multiple medical drugs, likely medication for her illnesses. She did not have any illegal substances or alcohol in her system. But that's basically something I read in an article. I looked up the toxicology report and I looked up the autopsy report, and some people had broken down the toxicology report. So earlier I mentioned all the medications that she was on. Right? So this is all of the medication. Well, this is everything that was found in her blood.
Okay.
There was an antidepressant that was present in the blood in her heart and in her liver enzymes, which suggests that she took an antidepressant medication the day that she died. A second antidepressant, they found metabolites in the blood, in her heart and in her liver enzymes, which suggests that she took it recently, but not on the day that she died. That drug can sometimes cause mania in bipolar disorder. Quetiapine, which is an antipsychotic, and its metabolites were not detected in any quantity in the blood from Eliza's heart, which suggests that she had not taken that medication recently.
So she was kind of on and off some of her meds?
Well, the important thing is that is the Seroquel, the 25 milligrams she was on, which was an antipsychotic prescribed for schizophrenia, bipolar, and major depressive disorder. So if we're going to take a look at all of her medications, we can maybe not conclude, but we can assume that that would be the one that keeps her psychologically stable,
right,
and not manic or depressive. Right? Hopefully. But if she didn't take it at all, and this is something she was supposed to take it every day, right?
Okay.
So she hadn't even taken it wasn't she had taken it in the last few days. It was she had not taken it in the last few days. So it was not the day of, not in the past few days, probably not in the entire time she was in Los Angeles. The last thing found in her blood, debatably, was the mood stabilizer. But it was found in such small amounts that it's debatable if it was even there whatsoever. Regardless, there were trace amounts found in her liver enzymes, which suggests that she took the medication recently, but not the day that she died. Okay. So, just to recap all of that, the things that she did not take were the antipsychotic, the antidepressant, one of the three, as well as the mood stabilizer. So those were the medications that she was off. The only one that she was on was one of the antidepressants. And then trace amounts of the second antidepressant that could possibly cause mania in people with bipolar.
Oh my God.
As far as alcohol, there was none detected in any quantity that would be significant. There was no obvious illegal drugs found in Eliza's system, including amphetamines, which means that she was not even taking
her Adderall.
Right. The main takeaways, I put a list of them just because I want to say them. Once again, took at least one antidepressant that day. She had taken her second antidepressant and mood stabilizer recently, but not that day. She had not taken her antipsychotic recently at all. She had no alcohol or common illegal drugs in her system. And, this is just another tidbit that was taken away from that toxicology report, is the person reviewing it said there's a very strong risk of mania associated with taking antidepressants alone, not in conjunction with an antipsychotic or mood stabilizer for bipolar.
Especially if she had, that whole list of drugs that she was supposed to be taking. While it does seem extreme, I still think that's an exorbitant amount of fucking drugs to be taken.
Yeah.
But if they were all working together to essentially just completely even her out, removing some, but not all, would throw fucking everything out of whack. Mm-hmm. Because now she's detoxing from some, which is already going to be a problem.
Yep.
And continuing the other one in her system, which is going to be a problem on its own.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot happening here. There's a lot happening here.
Yeah. The conclusion that report drew they wrote, I think it's safe to say that the video combined with a toxicology report proves beyond a reasonable doubt that she was experiencing a manic episode at the time of her death.
Oh, for sure.
Independent of any other drugs, illegal or otherwise, she may have had in her system. So that all being said, it gives us a lot of insight into the state of mind of Elisa Lam. It still isn't quite as simple as she was experiencing a manic episode and ended up in the water tank on the roof of the Cecil Hotel.
Right.
And here's why. It's not at all easy for guests to access the area that her body was found in. At all. Right? So here's how it's done. There are doors and stairs leading to the hotel's roof. These are locked at all times, and they have an alarm attached to them that must be deactivated. The alarm can only be deactivated by somebody who knows the code to the alarm, which means that if you are going through any of these doors, the alarm will be activated. And again, when Santiago Lopez went up to find her body ultimately on the 19th, he deactivated this alarm to get through the door.
So someone would have had to have let her up there.
Or, well, and here's the other thing about the alarm. It's also not, it went off and nobody heard it. Apparently, this alarm would have reached the entire top 2 floors of the hotel. If you were in your room, you would have heard it clearly. And then the front desk will get notified when it goes off. The only other way to access the roof would be to climb out of a window and onto a platform, scale a 10-foot ladder, and then push aside a 20-pound lid at the top of that ladder to get onto the roof.
Absolutely do not believe that she was fucking capable of doing that.
No, she was...
I do not believe she was capable of doing that. There's no way.
She was a small young woman, and even if she got that far, there's no... that's to assume that she would have done it herself, and if you're going to go that far, it takes a significant amount of effort to get to that point, and you would have to know where all of that led to if you're going to say that she ended up there.
And given her mental state, I mean, none of that seems plausible at all.
Yeah.
It seems more likely that either someone took her there or someone let her up there.
Yeah. So after all of this comes out, right, the video comes out, blows up on the internet. We all hear about it. We're all in the message boards talking about it all the time. So her parents file a wrongful death lawsuit against the Cecil Hotel. The trial happened. Everything went through. The ruling essentially said that since the death occurred in a location that guests were not allowed to be in, the Cecil Hotel does not even have any liability.
That's fucked up. That is
for her death.
Fucked up. It is still their property. And no matter what, whether it was because of someone letting her there or her finding a way up there, it's their fucking hotel. It's their property. It's their building.
Yeah.
How are you going to claim that you have no responsibility for this?
Yeah.
That's insane.
According to the law, the way that it worked as far as the law in Los Angeles, the main reason they cited was that the hotel is at no fault because there's no way they could have foreseen or prevented this more than they already have, right?
I'm sorry. They have multiple alarms and like locks on these doors, and yet they have no security cameras on the roof?
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Well, and that's another theory from people on the internet. A lot of people are saying, where are the other cameras? Just like you said, where's the rest of the footage of her in the elevator? Why is there a minute missing from that footage? Not that it probably matters, but there's a lot to be said about,
why does the second half of that matter at all if all it does is go to the floors that she pressed the buttons for? Why did it even keep that in?
Yeah.
Right.
And why cut stuff out and then keep other stuff in?
Yeah.
None of it.
The other thing is, what if she is speaking to somebody, maybe a person who works at the hotel, and she's like, the elevator's messed up. And he's like, oh, well, come to the roof with me. I can see that you're in a vulnerable state.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's so fucked up.
But here's what I was thinking. I was going back all the way to the beginning. If you're in a hotel in a very shitty part of town that has been known for like crimes happening in it, how easy would it be if you're in a managerial position to step up and be like, I'm sorry, ma'am, your roommates have actually been complaining, so we're gonna move you to a room where you're all by yourself.
Isolate her and then corner her?
How easy would that be?
That is fucking twisted. I've heard so many things about this case. Never that and never that. Fucking a fucking I don't like any of this. I mean, this case is horrible to begin with, but that is so
and then maybe even they were already, who knows, assaulting her, who knows what, and then that could have led to her like episode in the elevator where she's freaking out and thinks she's being chased,
and especially then how she's already in like a fragile state.
Yeah, and then if somebody has to have the codes to get her up there, like,
yeah,
why wouldn't they just dump her body up there?
Yeah, so those are the main theories. There are some alternative theories. Some people are saying she was possessed.
I forgot to think about that. Yeah. My bad.
So easy. Yeah. I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I feel like
very easy.
I've seen that more than I've seen the logical.
You know, I think it's almost dangerous to write it off as possession. And
yes.
Here's why. Because when we sit down and we say, let's look at the medication she was on, let's look at who Elisa Lam was as a person, let's look at what happened the day that she died, let's look at all of the logical information. When you look at that, what you see is a woman who, maybe from her family, maybe from doctors, maybe from whoever, might not have gotten the help that she needed. She was maybe overprescribed, not that I could say one way or the other, just that could be a thing that happened.
Obviously very troubled.
Right, very troubled. Obviously not in a great state of mind. Maybe shouldn't have been traveling alone with all of this medication.
Absolutely not. No way. She should not have been traveling alone. No.
So at the end of the day, to say it's possession, almost takes away from. I mean, we need to prevent this from happening to anybody else.
Right.
If we're gonna say that if we're gonna go with what the law said, this is a death that happened accidentally. The hotel's not liable. Nobody's liable. Elisa Lam had a manic episode and somehow ended up dying and falling into, without her clothes, the water tank.
She one of the weirdest undressed parts. Herself, and I know
that's one of the weirdest parts.
That one of the other big issues that a lot of people had with this case was that the opening to the water tank is very small.
Right, and if we're gonna say that that's the case, then we need to make sure that we're looking more carefully at how we're prescribing people and how we're, how people are conducting themselves and things like that. This needs to be a cautionary tale if that's the case.
And maybe the Cecil Hotel should put up some fucking cameras on their roof to make sure that nobody else is capable of doing that.
Yeah, well, maybe we should just shut down the Cecil Hotel.
I mean,
it's actually,
that's probably...
it gained landmark...
Never build anything else there.
Yeah, it gained landmark status in like 2007 or something like that.
So just prevent people from entering it.
So that's that story. It's a lot more depressing when you tell it to other people, I guess.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
you know what? We're starting out season 3 in a real kind of dark corner of the true crime internet here.
That's the weird thing about some of these stories is like, we've all heard this one and we've all heard some of the other ones, but then you sit down and you start talking about it and you go, wait, hold on. And then like once you have these discussions, you start making connections. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this tale. If you haven't heard it before, then we're very honored to tell you about the story of Elisa Lam. I really, really hope that there's some more investigation into what exactly happened because, as we've said, I mean, there are more questions unanswered than answered. I mean, the only thing we know for sure, or at least I think we can agree for sure, is that she was experiencing some kind of mental disorder with her bipolar and the mania. If you haven't already checked it out, check out last week's episode on Lars Matank, which Jenn talked about. Very good episode. And next week, Taylor's going to be talking about the story of Missy Beavers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.